Hi. Happy New Year. It has definitely been a little while since I've done a spoken word intro, just because it's been a lot easier for me to use these little text bits and not actually talk to the camera. But I feel like, it's a new year, it's been a while, and I'm doing a tutorial today, so I might as well. I'm gonna be really busy until the end of February, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to record and do music. I'm going to do my best to get uploads in. But yeah. Thank you for sticking around, thank you for being patient, and without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. So obviously today's tutorial is for Melatonin 130 by Wilbur. Melatonin 130 is played in standard tuning with the capo on the 2nd fret of the guitar, and it requires 6 total chords. The 6 chords you're going to need are a C6, a G, a B7, a B, a C played in 2 different ways, which I will talk about, and then an E minor. They're not very hard. Most of these chords are open. There's only 2 bar chords within it, and it's not too difficult to transition between them because of the shapes that we're using. The first chord that you need to know is a C6 chord, which is very similar to an open C, honestly. You're going to start with the same fingering position. You're muting the top E string. You have a finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, another finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then a finger on the 1st fret of the B string. What you're going to do additionally is, instead of having your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string as usual, you're going to move it so that it's on the 2nd fret of the G string and put your pinky on the 3rd fret of the A string. So it's basically, you can think about it 2 ways. The one that I think about it with is as a C chord with an extra finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Another way to think about it is an A minor chord with an extra finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. Either way works, but the chord sounds like this. The second chord you need to know is an open G, which I think is fairly simple. You're going to have a finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, a finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and the finger on the 3rd fret of the high E. You're not muting anything, and that will sound like this. The third chord you need to know is a B7, but we're not playing it with the pinky. So what's going to happen is you're going to have your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string, you're going to have another finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then a 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Normally a B7 chord is played with your pinky finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string, but for this song, I don't play it like that. You're not muting the low E string, or at least I didn't play it with it muted, so that will sound like this. The bar chords for this song are a bit tricky just because of the shape of them, but it is the same shape for both chords. You're just moving the B up 1 fret to make a C. The way that you're going to play the B chord is that you're going to bar the 4th fret, and then you're going to have a finger on the 6th fret of the A string, and then the 7th fret of the low E. So it's a little bit tricky to play. Sometimes I'll play it like this just to have extra support. So I'll be layering my middle finger over my pointer finger, and that ensures that all the strings can be heard. But that will sound like this. And then for the C chord, the first way that you're going to play it is just this, but move 1 fret up on every finger. So you're going to move your bar to the 5th fret, you're going to have your fingers on the 7th and 8th frets of the A and the E strings respectively. So that will sound like this. The next chord that you need to know for this song is just your standard open E minor. So that is going to be fingers on the 2nd fret of the A and the D strings. You're not muting anything, and that sounds like this. And then finally, you just need to know an open C chord, which we discussed earlier. So you're gonna have fingers on the 3rd fret of the A string, the 2nd fret of the D string, and the 1st fret of the B string. You're muting the low E, and that sounds like this. And that is all the chords you need to know. The order of the chords in this song is pretty much the same throughout the entire song. The general order is going to be C6 to G, and then to B7. You play through the C6 twice, and then you play through the G, and then the B7 once each. There's a small part in the song in which the chord pattern changes, and that is around the lyrics, but just this once. So I cannot, at the moment, remember the lyrics that lead into that, but you're going to be playing that bar B and C chord that I showed you. So you'll be going here, and then it's the "but just this once" lyric. So after the bar C, you're going to an open G. When you get to the lyric, "I'd like to see the world in 3 dimensions," right before that is when you play the E minor chord. On the word C, you switch to the C chord, which is kind of a good trigger. And then I believe at dimensions, you switch to the C6. After that, I usually just do a big mute It's like a... And then right after that, you just move back into the same chord progression, and that is how it stays for the rest of the song. Finally, the strumming pattern. If you saw my cover, you will see that I used two guitars. I had one which was electric, which was just a full down strumming pattern, and then my acoustic here, which I used for a more rhythmic strumming pattern. You can either play this song with all down strums, or you can use the strumming pattern that I'm about to show you. So the strumming pattern that I used in the song was down, 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 up, 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 down, up, for the general pattern, I believe. So you play a full way through that strumming pattern on the C6 chord, and then you split it between the two on the G and the B7 chords. So I'm going to show you that strumming pattern right now. I don't think it's too difficult, and I know that when I'm switching between the chords, I do tend to add a little bit of an extra down strum, if I remember correctly, just because it sounds better. But this is what that sounds like slowly. So that will be the general strumming pattern within the chord progression. Again, when you get to that part with but just this one, so you're just going to be doing down strums. And then I know there is a part at the bridge where it's all palm muted. I didn't play it that way in my cover, but if you want, you can absolutely palm mute it, and that will sound more similar to the original song. So I believe that covers everything for Melatonin 130. I hope that the tutorial was helpful, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If it was not helpful or you found it confusing, I'm going to be linking the tab that I used down in the description, so you can head over to Ultimate Guitar for that. But besides that, I hope that you all are doing well, that you're happy and healthy, and that the new year is treating you kindly thus far. And yeah, again, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. The amount of attention I've been getting recently has been very surprising, and I'm just in awe that it's happening like every single day, that the views keep going up, that the subscriber count keeps going up. You guys really keep me going, and I just want to say that I appreciate you all greatly. Keep being your awesome, wonderful selves. And yeah, hopefully I will see you soon with another video. Bye.